page 476, verse 53. The new true prophet will bring and teach a new teaching, leading specifically to the rescue of the truthful teaching. Consequently, he will then be recognized as a true prophet. But you and your like-minded ones from your kind or people will be badly marked for a long time due to the false teaching which will be made in evil falseness from his true, quote, teaching of the prophets, as will happen with my true teaching, which I teach, and which will also be falsified. But it will be, you Pharisees and Sadducees, and also you scribes, that because of your guilt, even many guiltless ones or innocent ones of your kind or people will suffer in great numbers in the coming time, and far into the new time, and will lose their possessions or goods and chattels, and their riches, or will be killed. So the new prophet will be, according to your confused assertion, a false prophet, just as you also insult me of the same falseness. And he will bring the true, quote, teaching of the prophets, again, in a new form. But if you will not recognize it as true, and it therefore appears as a confused teaching to you, he will still be a true prophet, and he will have great knowledge. And it will be that also his teaching will be maliciously falsified. And so hatred and pursuit or persecution and bloody deeds or murder will arise from it in unrightfulness, because due to the falsification of his teaching, a new and again a new horde of zealots or fanatics will go forth into the new time. And so it will be that your kind or people will be scourged and threatened or terrorized by cultic or religious and sectarian, confused and zealous or fanatical throngs, unto the ends of the world or worldwide. So it will be up to the distant time to come or future, and into the new time or new time starting from 1844. It will be so, because his true, quote, teaching of the prophets will be badly falsified, and irrationality and persecution and hatred will be taught from it in a wrong manner, in spite of the fact that he will only teach love and peace, and also freedom and consonance or harmony, as will be given by the old, quote, teaching of the prophets. His name will be Muhammad, and his name will be terror for your kind or people, because you have brought misery and death since old time, and will do so in new time. Therefore, you will be ostracized by zealous or fanatical throngs newly arising over and over again, by which death and destruction will be spread, as everything will go forth from the confused, falsified teaching, which will be maliciously made from the true prophets, true, quote, teaching of the prophets. Truly, truly, I say to you, his name will be terror for you, and, therefore, for your descendants. For because of you yourselves, and because of your guilt, hatred will be multiplied against you, and against your kind or people, because you stir up hatred in your kind or people, and you will lead your near and distant descendants again against them with blood and destruction, and therefore ones will fight for the land. So this will be without peace for a very long time. So he, as a true prophet, will be, according to your and your descendants' speech, a false prophet, and will bring, according to your sense, a teaching that appears confused, and that is not to be understood by you. Thus I also taught the same teaching. Also the cult, or religion, sect, emerging in falseness from my and his teaching, will eventually end, as will also your cult, when his kind or people and your kind or people lay the foundation stone for the conclusion. For also his teaching will be evilly twisted and falsified, and will result in an evil and false cult or religion, sect. And as he spoke in this manner, everyone seethed with rage, the high priest and the scribes and the Pharisees and Sadducees and those of the high council, and beat him so harshly that he collapsed and groaned or whimpered. And once they had beaten and mocked him, they took off his mantle, put back on him only his undergarments or his own robe, and led him away to stake him. Upon his right shoulder they placed a heavy fork stake from a tree, which was shaped as a fork with two branches sloping upwards, or Y, the letter Y, so that he himself would carry this great burden to the place of his own death. But the tree stake was heavy, and Emmanuel groaned under the burden, and his blood combined with his sweat into a vile mixture. Emmanuel collapsed under the heavy burden because his strength soon left him. But when a stranger came along, by the name of Simon of Cyrene, they forced him to help carry the tree stake. Soon they arrived at the place called Golgotha, or place of the skull. His pathway there was onerous and arduous, partly because he was getting beaten, reviled, and mocked. And they gave him wine to drink, mixed with the bile from animals. But when he tasted it, he did not want to drink it, and so they beat him again to make him drink it anyway. Then they forced him down on the forked tree stake, while beating him, stretched out his arms, and beat nails into the wood, and through the joints of his hands and feet. So this was done for the first time, and contrary to custom, because until then, those who were staked were tied to the stakes. After they had nailed him upon the tree stake, and had erected it, they divided his clothing among themselves by casting lots. And they sat around and guarded him, so that no one would come and take him from the forked stake. And also 2 murderers were staked with him, one to his right and one to his left. So he was between them. But they were not nailed by their hands and feet, so they were bound with ropes. But those who were standing all around slandered Emmanuel, and mocked and ridiculed him. And they shouted and called out, quote, "Since you are a king of wisdom, help yourself now. And since you want to be a son of a celestial son, and you possess great power, get down from the stake and go your way." The scribes, Pharisees, the high priest, and Sadducees likewise mocked him, saying, quote, "You helped others. Why do you now not help yourself? Since you are a king of wisdom, get down from the stake now and help yourself. If you do that, we will believe in you and your teaching." He trusted in his wisdom, and in being the son of the angel Gabriel, who should rescue him. Thus let his wisdom, or the angel Gabriel, save him now if he delights in, or has a loving connection for, him. But likewise, the murderers, staked to his right and left, mocked and reviled him. Then it came to pass that the firmament clouded over, the sun became dark, and a great storm spread across the land, which was rare at that time of year, but happened now and then. The terrible storm raged for 3 hours before the sun again broke through the clouds. But at that time Emmanuel cried out and requested, quote, "I am thirsty, give me something to drink." And right away one of the soldiers ran, took a sponge, and soaked it in vinegar, and after that he stuck it on a lance, and gave it to Emmanuel to drink. But when the others saw that, they scolded the man, saying, quote, "Stop! Do not give him any more to drink. Let us see how long he can bear this." And behold, a final, powerful thunderclap broke up the storm, whereupon the entire land trembled and the ground shook. Amid the tremendous thunder, Emmanuel again cried out, but nobody understood him because his speech was confused. Then his head fell forward, and he slipped into a state of apparent death, or powerlessness, and they thought he was dead. It came to pass that a soldier took his lance, and stabbed Emmanuel in his loin to ensure that he was dead. But blood flowed from the wound, and it was mixed with water, as happens when a human being is dead, or in a state of apparent death or powerlessness. Thus, the soldier thought Emmanuel was dead, and he informed the others. And they were all astonished, because it was unusual for those who were staked to die so quickly. But since the soldier had told them, they believed him and departed. Among them were also a crowd of women and others who watched from a distance, and they were companions of Emmanuel, and had served him and followed him from Galilee. Among them were also Emmanuel's mother Maria, and Maria Magdalena, his one confided to him, or confidant, and 17 other women who followed Emmanuel and spread his teaching. Once the people had departed, they went to him, knelt before the stake, and wept bitterly, because they too thought Emmanuel was dead. Also among them, however, was Joseph of Arimathea, who was also a companion of Emmanuel. After a short while, he noticed that Emmanuel was only in a state of apparent death or powerlessness, but he told no one. Entombment. Verse 106. He quickly went into the city to Pilatus and asked him for the body of Emmanuel so that he could bury him. So Pilatus ordered that the body was to be given to him. And a crowd of people, who were well-minded toward Emmanuel, went with him, and they removed Emmanuel from the stake. And Joseph of Arimathea wrapped the body in pure linen, which he had previously coated with salve, so that Emmanuel would be given strength by it. Joseph of Arimathea, however, then carried the body of Emmanuel all the way as far as Jerusalem, and placed it outside the city into his own tomb cave, which he had arranged to be cut into a rock for his own future burial. And he rolled a large stone in front of the entrance of the tomb cave, and went to get medicine and ones knowledgeable of healing from a foreign land, so Emmanuel's friends from a distant land in the east, so that he would be cared for by them. The entrance of the tomb cave, however, was guarded by soldiers and Emmanuel's mother, so no one could enter or steal the body. Joseph of Arimathea, however, sought out Emmanuel's friends from a distant land or India, who were staying in Jerusalem, and returned with them to the tomb cave, where they went in unto him through the second and secret entrance, which was unknown to the henchmen and soldiers. And for 3 days and 3 nights they nursed him with herbs, salves, and juices. Soon he was again with better strength or health, and again with a good spirit or consciousness. But the tomb cave was being guarded on the other side by the soldiers, because the high priest and the Pharisees and Sadducees had gone to Pilatus and said, quote, "Sir, it should be considered that when this confused man was still alive, he said to the people, quote, after 3 days and 3 nights he would come back and thus rise again from the dead. But since it was established through a soldier that he really was dead, his tomb cave should now be guarded, so that no one can come and steal the body and say, quote, behold, he has risen again after all. Therefore, let it be commanded of you that the tomb cave be secured or sealed until the 3rd day, so that the last cheating or deception may not be worse than the first." And Pilatus said to them, quote, "Take my soldiers as guardians. Go and secure or seal it as best you can." And they departed and secured or sealed the entrance of the tomb cave with a heavy stone. However, they did not know the secret of the tomb cave, that it had 2 exits or entrances. Emmanuel's helpers, therefore, could go in unto him without being detected, and apply healing salves and herbs, and give him healing juices. Therefore, on the 3rd day, he was again full of strength to walk.